Jimmy Burns from Melbourne, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening, and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. We broadcast live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It's affectionately known as the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday. If you have always wanted to get in touch with the show, you have something of value to bring this evening, you can hit me up on a phone call. You can also jot down an email and send it my way, and these are the two ways to do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the bbqcentralshow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Everything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, and that address is thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it is the second week of October, and whatever month we're in, when it is the second Tuesday of the month, you know we're going to get a visit from the creator of the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website on the face of the earth. I am talking about Meathead Goldwyn. And now, Meathead Goldwyn will be on location this evening, so I'm not sure exactly where he's going to be. There was some type of event that the Sweet Baby Ray group was putting on. Of course, you would remember last week, we caught up with Deuce Raymond, and Deuce had his uncle, Dave Raymond, Sweet Baby Ray, for those people that have ever heard barbecue sauce before. Sweet Baby Ray made an impromptu, surprise, and phenomenal first visit. So we had to divvy up that segment because initially I booked Deuce. And then his uncle was there. How could I not talk to his uncle? Somebody I've always wanted to have on the show. One of the legends of the industry, probably the best-selling sauce in the industry. I think he said last week, if you go back and listen to the show, that Sweet Baby Ray right now, the name or the brand, has like 46% share in the barbecue sauce market. Could you imagine having almost 50% market share of the barbecue sauce industry right now? You go up and down any aisle in a grocery store, well, not any aisle, but you go up and down an aisle where the barbecue sauce is located anymore, is it 75% of that aisle? All different kinds, all different makes, vegan friendly, no meat, no high fructose corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, peaches, apricots, you name it, liquid smoke, more liquid smoke. And then you have the rubs, and then you have the barbecue accoutrements. If it's not at least one full grocery store aisle, it might be getting into two. It's got its own section in some of these places. Have 50% of that market on the sauce side almost. Wow, that's incredible. Anyway, I've diverged. Meathead Goldwyn will be joining us, and he is on location, so I'm not sure exactly how he's set up. I'm not saying that Meathead isn't technically savvy, but you know, me and being on remote, if it was that easy, I would be on remote like all the time. But having done the show and wanting to bring a quality sounding production to you each and every week, I don't really venture out of the studio because within these confines, I know I can control pretty much how everything sounds. Now, Can I control when Skype shuts off every 3 minutes because it's not really me, but there's a guest issue? I can't control that. We try and work through some of those things. Are there sometimes logistic or technical issues on my end that I just can't work around, or they're happening live and we just have to muscle through it? Absolutely. Some people would say it happens all the time. Some people started a drinking game back in the day when we used to have technical issues. They were happening so much. But by and large, over the last number of years, we've ironed out a lot of that stuff. I have professional sound people that have contracted with me. Shout out to my official sound guy, Haniel. What's good, Haniel? So we've ironed out a lot of these technical issues. But when the guest is in charge of going on location, well, all bets are off at this point. So we'll see what Meathead up his sleeve at the 9:14 to 9:35 segment. Then we'll move to the second hour. You would recall last week that I talked at length with one Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, for the Ask Dr. Barbecue segment. And he made it a point to say that there was, however major or minor, some kind of an internet dust-up about the term pork belly burnt ends. And from Ray's standpoint, he does not believe you can use the term burnt end as it relates to pork because, as he had said here on the show last week, burnt ends are made and born out of brisket. So you can't use or usurp the term burnt ends and supplant it in front of anything you want. Rib burnt ends, bacon burnt ends, burger burnt ends, pork burnt ends, pork belly burnt ends, blah, blah, blah. The list could go on and on, of course. So I said it would be great, since we've had Ray, to get the other side of the argument, which is Matt Pittman, creator of Meat Church. He'll be on at 10:14. So a lot of really cool stuff that we can talk to Matt about. If you follow Meat Church on social media, you know they're huge on Instagram, over 130 some odd thousand followers. They're really big on the Twitter as well. Matt has really leveraged social media to grow the brand and get exposure and all that stuff. So I think there's some really good information that just from a social media marketing standpoint, all of us could use, especially if we're looking to better the image and grow our particular brand, some high-level stuff that he might be able to share with us. But more importantly, of course, in the impetus of the segment, what his view, because he was on the other side of pork belly burn end, doesn't see an issue with it, doesn't know what the big deal is, or why there's being a big deal made of it. So we'll talk to him about his side of it and where it's going to go from here. And maybe he's surprised. I have to be honest, I'm really surprised that pork belly burnt ends have become such a rage all over social media. It is the food darling of the barbecue and grilling community when it comes to social media. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's very popular. It's really caught on very quickly. I don't know if it's going to evaporate just as quickly or if we'll still be talking about pork belly burn ends by the end of the year, or if that's going to be the trend that showed up out of nowhere and then as quickly as it emerged, it is evaporated. But we'll see. Time will tell. Matt Pittman, 10:14. And then at 10:35, of course, the Sam's Club National Barbecue, the National Pro BBQ Tour presented by Sam's Club's national final event took place this past weekend in Bentonville, Arkansas. And winning that one and joining me at 10:35 is Q and Stewin' and Bruin's pitmaster Scott Smith. So we're going to talk to him about the big weekend, the big win, of course. Get that insider's look into his camp, when they left Georgia, when they loaded into Bentonville, all that good stuff. And then what it's like going up with 49 teams that have a legitimate shot at winning, I think, to date, like the most payout at a barbecue competition. I think World Food Championships in the end will probably claim that crown. But in regards to just straight up barbecue competitions, I don't know if anybody makes more money than they do at Sam's Club when they win it. Plus, factor in the regional round, factor in the local round. If you do really well in all three, that's a pretty big take when you look at it comparatively to some of those other contests that are out there. 3 contests, you can win a lot of money if you have your cards played right. So Scott Smith, Q&, Stewin', and Bruin helping me close out the show this evening. Very much looking forward to that. All right, folks, let everybody know that the show is on. Share it. Get on the Twitter, the Facebooks, all that stuff. You can watch the show live on the video, facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, outdoorcookingchannel.com/watch-now has the video feed as well, also on Roku. Of course, the easiest way to get it after the fact is subscribing through any of the podcast directories, iTunes, Google Play Music, or as I'd mentioned, there's like a billion podcast fetchers, aggregators, whatever you want to call it. Just go to my website and grab the subscribe navigation bar, and you're off and running. What can I tell you? You'll never miss a segment of the show. You'll never miss a guest of the show. Maybe you've listened to the show live and you want to go back and listen to it again. Easy way to do it. That's how most people get it. Folks, grilling season is still open for business, whether you believe in these dates of grilling season or not. I think it's poppycock. The place you need to go for all your barbecue and grilling needs, Butcher Barbecue, right? Certainly we know that Butcher's carries a great selection of barbecue products like rubs and injections and marinades. One of my favorite things is this grilling oil that I can tell you about each and every week. The thing that I really enjoy the most, or the thing that brings me the most value when it comes to the grilling oils, is the fact that they are shelf stable. So a lot of these other items, you open them first, and then it has that wording that's very small on the front of the label. It says refrigerate after opening. You know what's going to happen. Even if you really love it and you really tell yourself, I got to remember that it's in the refrigerator, you cap it back up, you put it in the refrigerator, and then a couple days later, you're moving stuff around because you got to make stuff for new stuff, room for new stuff. Uh-oh, well, that piece of culinary delightfulness is now getting ever so gently pushed back and pushed back. 2 weeks later, you forget about it. A month later, you're cleaning out the refrigerator, and you're like, ah! I really wanted to use, well, now I got to throw it out. You don't have to worry about that with grilling oil. You leave it right out on the counter. You can take it out with you to the grill or the barbecue pit or however you're going to use it. It's not going to go bad. It's not going to go rancid. So it's never out of sight, out of mind, right? The other thing that's new over at Butcher Barbecue is the new Grilling Addictions seasoning. Good pepper, good salt, good little back end heat there, good all around rub, especially on the burgers and the chicken, your traditional grilling type stuff. Be sure to pick up a bottle of that as well. Lastly, I say it each and every week, dealers want it. If you currently own a barbecue grilling and supply store and you don't carry the Butcher's lineup, what are you waiting for? Hit up butcherbbq.com right now. Request information on how to become a dealer for them. Not only will they thank you, but your customers will reap the rewards by getting these fine products in their hands to try for themselves. These products are extensively tested, both in the backyard and on the competition trail, so you know they're going to work, of course. Head on over to butcherbbq.com right now and check out all of their products. Again, it's butcherbbq.com. You'll be happy that you visited. Butcher Barbecue, always trust your butcher, longtime sponsor of this show. And we will be back with Meathead Goldwyn from Parts Unknown somewhere in the greater Chicagoland area. So stick around for that. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Networks.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. The 2017 Grant Program from Smithfield was a raging success this season. So, if you want your event to be considered for 2018, head to smokinwithsmithfield.com right now and apply for the 2018 Grant Program. Don't be left out. Applications being taken now until October 25th, so just a couple weeks left. Again, don't miss out. Don't do it. Also, if you follow me on the Facebooks, you will be able to find the Smithfield Grant Program application or rules, whatever. I'm going to be posting that here at some point either this evening or later tomorrow, but advanced a copy of that by the folks over at Smithfield as well. So be on the lookout for that if you want to have your event or competition considered for the 2018 Smithfield Grant Program. All right, joining me now is the creator of the Amazing Ribs website, the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website ever. Meathead Goldwood. Meathead, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm great. Can you hear me and see me?
Well, I saw you there for a second, but I can certainly hear you, so it's 50% good.
All right, I'm trying to get the camera to show not me, but what's in front of me. Can you? I'm not. Oh, wait. There we go. I think that did it. Can you see? There you go. Can you see that?
Look at that. That looks like pumpkin roll.
Yes,
looks
exactly
like,
what it is.
What's that in the front? Is some type of an apple tart of some sort?
Yeah, it's a fruit tart. With a crumble topping.
Very good.
That looks like some sort of a
is that like
stuff. Where's Chef? Get Chef Mark in here.
Stuffed pastry of some sort?
Yeah, let me tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cancel on you, but I had a chance for a hell of a free dinner. So you don't turn down free dinner.
I heard that.
I am at Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant just outside Chicago in Wooddale, Illinois. And Sweet Baby Ray, Dave Raymond, and I are old drinking buddies, and his nephew Deuce, who is the chef here. And I know you had them both on last week.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, great coincidence. And I'm up there at their restaurant hanging out with them. They do 3 or 4 educational events, and tonight was one of them. And I videotaped all the seminars they did. He had about 20 or 30 people here, and Deuce did a demonstration of fall cooking. And one of the things I love about some of these barbecue chefs like Deuce is they go outside the box. They just don't do your standard brisket and pulled pork and ribs. And he did a series of really creative appetizers, a wonton roll with brisket on it, and then a little sauce and an apple chutney. He did all kinds of fun stuff. And then he demonstrated how he does turkey. I'm walking over here to the cutting board. I'm waiting for Deuce or Chef Mark to come back here.
Oh, but that looks like turkey.
Yeah, he did. He did 3 or 4 different techniques on turkey. Among them, a deep-fried Cajun turkey tonight.
Is that it?
And I taped it all. I'm going to try to have it on my website on YouTube in a couple of days. But it's a lot of fun. They've got themselves a big old Southern Pride here.
Uh-huh.
And let me show you something that I think is really cool. Can you see that sign?
See it, smell it, taste it, live it. If it's wrong, fix it.
This is a sign they have posted all over their their kitchen. This is a restaurant kitchen. If it's wrong, fix it. This is a restaurant kitchen that takes quality in a high command. And look at what else I saw. This is cool.
Hey, look, it's Meathead's meat magnet right there.
That's RMD.
Look at you.
I'm the temperature guide right here on the wall here. And it's just a neat place. And they did this cooking demo. Now I'm going to try to walk you out into the dining area.
I think I'm going to vomit.
Am I making you nauseous?
Little, but that's all right.
So it's kind of breaking up. I
Oh,
mean, they've
dear.
been doing
Look at this. You're just
tonight
forcing
here.
these people into a live video. I'm sure they're very
Yeah,
appreciative.
we're doing live video.
Oh, dear.
And these are people who came for the presentation. It's kind of breaking up.
Yeah.
It's dessert time, and we've had our chance to sit and listen to Deuce, Chef Deuce.
There's Dave Raymond right there.
Dave Raymond. Where is Dave? I don't see him.
Oh, wasn't that him that just walked by you or no?
No, it's another big guy.
Oh, okay.
He's right here, Chef Deuce. Hello, Deuce. Hello. Say hello. Stand still for 30 seconds.
Hey, look, there he is. Third place for Deuce this past weekend, by the way.
Third place for Deuce. Yes, he knows that you took third place this past weekend, Deuce.
Yes, I know. More importantly, first place with teams 5 or less competitions in the
There
whole
you go.
country.
Show
Can you hear
karma.
that?
Show karma,
Very
baby.
excited about that.
That's right.
Can you hear what he was just
That's
saying?
right. First in teams that have competed 5 times or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what he did tonight was he showed us fall recipes and fall dishes. And go ahead, Deuce. Send Chef Mark out. He has a platter of the appetizers I wanted to show the audience. And get he's hiding, I know. He knows we're on the air. Get him out here.
Meathead,
They get some wonderful appetizers.
while you're trying to uncover the chef over here, do you have a stated opinion or a stated thought on what fall cooking means to you?
Well, I mean, fall cooking, all cooking, if you ask me, and I think if you ask any chef who is worth the salt, is seasonal. When apples are in season, as they are now, you cook with apples. When squash is in season, you cook with squash. And I think that's important. You get fresh. I mean, come on, fresh tomatoes. I mean, all through the summer. I live in Illinois, and we are a state that really knows how to cook, how to grow corn, tomatoes, vegetables. So we put up with winter and in order to get incredible corn and like peaches, Michigan peaches. I hope your audience doesn't have any Georgia or South Carolina listeners, because I got to tell you, Michigan peaches kick their butt.
Really?
And it's all right. Here we go. It's related to climate, and when you are in a cool climate, hot climates, fruit ripens, which means it gets sweet. But at night, the temperature is really hot. And when the temperature is really hot, it burns off the acidity. And the secret to great fruit, wine, peaches, apples, is a balance of acidity and sugar. And so when you get, I mean, there is no better peach in the country, I think. I've eaten them in South Carolina. I've eaten them in Georgia. Michigan peaches are the best peaches I've ever eaten. So here we are in the north, in the frozen north. Corn, same deal. So you eat seasonal. And so that's what he was teaching today, is he was teaching seasonal cooking. And they served a chicken thigh skewer with an apple concentrated drizzle. They served a wonton with shredded brisket. They served a Belgian endive leaf with a goat cheese, sort of a whipped goat cheese in it, and some bacon.
It's definitely
and I think that's very creative. This is not your normal barbecue food.
I was just going to say, it's definitely not something that the norm would be found in.
No. I just lost my video feed. Are you still with me?
I am still here. The feed did hold for a moment, but once it gets regained, we'll go ahead and switch back over.
Well, I'm waiting for Chef Mark, who's our executive chef. I asked him to make a platter of all the appetizers we had about 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Because they're really beautiful. And I think he's gotten gun shy and he's hiding.
So is this event something that these people had to sign up for in advance, or are they invites because they're socialites? What's the deal?
It's if you go to the Sweet Baby Ray restaurant, not the Sweet Baby Ray sauce, they're different, and they probably talked about that last week. The sauce is owned by a big multinational corporation.
Yep.
And Dave Raymond, who invented it, owns a restaurant or two under his name and a barbecue competition team. And he does some really creative stuff. So to get on the list, go to the Sweet Baby Ray restaurant site in Wooddale, Illinois. Get on their mailing list, and they'll let you know when they're doing these seminars. And they do several a year. And Deuce, who you saw a minute ago, is very creative. I mean, they do well in competition, so they can cook brisket. But he can do fun stuff. I mean, he did a turkey breast that he seasoned with Cajun seasoning, tossed it in a deep fryer until it was deep golden, temped it. It wasn't quite done, and then popped it in the smoker to give it a finish of smoke.
And that was it done on purpose for the finish of smoke, or was it done in the smoker to finish it?
It's one of those things you can't always control.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've got you back visually here.
Yeah.
I can see you. So I'm sitting at the back of the room waiting for Chef Mark to show up, and I don't know where he is.
Yeah, he actually had to go.
He had to go.
Oh, he had to go. Of course.
He knew it, son of a bitch. I'm going to crack his
Oh,
butt.
Meathead, what are you talking? We're live on the air. Holy moly. Look at this guy dropping SOBs left and right.
I mean, I wanted him to come out and show this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I mean,
He was supposed to...
We did get a shot of the pumpkin roll, and it looked delicious.
He was supposed to do a platter.
This lady has no idea she's on live right now.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. He was supposed to do a platter with one each of the appetizers for me to show on this show.
Okay, yeah.
You know where they are?
I can find out for you. And
See if you can find them. And maybe add some of the other food?
Oh, here we go. Guess what, Meathead? She's out
There's
of
some
here.
money exchanging hands here.
She's like, yeah, I'll see you never again. Boom, I'm out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
She's not going home with that guy,
Hey,
I can tell you that.
Meathead, is it safe to assume that the Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant does use Sweet Baby Ray's sauce in the restaurant?
Safe to assume, but Deuce, his nephew, has created his own line of sauces.
Right, Deuce
and
is
they're
wild.
very nice. And one of them, his competition sauce, is a ringer for you know what.
Yeah,
the
right,
famous,
right.
popular,
Yes. Blue in color.
Blues Hog.
Right.
It's a glaze. It's an herbal, seasoned, spicy glaze in the Blues Hog profile, and it's very good. And I like it a lot, and it's a good competition sauce. And they win awards with it. In fact, wait a minute. What do you got in your hand? Show me what you got.
Look at that.
I got Texas rub.
The Texas rub. And,
Cajun.
okay, you didn't get any sauces?
No sauce.
Go back and buy some sauces.
I'm gonna get some. I eat here for lunch every week.
Oh, he eats here for lunch.
There you go.
How much was your book? I never asked.
Pardon me?
Hey, Meathead, we're in the middle of a freaking show here. Tell that guy to beat it.
Shut up! I'm selling books. They're $35.
Lord.
They're $35.
Yeah.
They're $20 on Amazon. But you don't get my signature. You don't get my signature.
Oh, great. He's walking
let's
away
see.
crying now. Oh, jeez.
I did a little presentation after Deuce and talked about cooking turkey and how I like to do it. And some people wanted to buy the book. So
Meathead, when you're in something like impromptu like this, what are your go-to items that you talk about?
I always fall back on thermometers. I mean, your audience is savvy and experienced.
Deuce said to make you a pork shank platter. So
Oh, he's making a pork shank. Oh, you
Pork
gotta see the
shank.
pork shank.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Deuce. Here, I'm just not going to wait for him to bring it out. I'm coming back here. I'm in the kitchen now. There's
Oh,
Deuce.
dear.
And look at this. Deuce does.
Wow.
Deuce, tell us a little bit of how you do these pork shanks, because they were ungodly good.
These are a smoked pork shank. First of all, they're Berkshire, so you know they're good. They're really rich, got that nutty, fresh flavor.
Can you hear him all right?
Yeah, you could stand closer to him, though, to help him
Okay,
out.
I can stand closer.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
So they're Berkshire pork shanks. They're really got that deep red color, really well marbled. And what we did was we brined them overnight with bourbon, honey, water, salt, and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Then we seasoned them, took them out of the brine, seasoned them with our pork rub, smoked them for 3 hours. Then we put them into a braise with mirepoix, celery, onion, carrots, a little bit of leeks, a little bit of fennel, and water, and cooked them for 4 more hours until they're just very tender. You can see it's just going to come right off the bone. And then
And they do. I mean, if I were to reach out and touch these things, they would just crumble right off the bone.
Wow.
And then we served them with little horseradish mashed potatoes and some roasted root vegetables with lavender honey.
Oh.
There. And his what he did with the mashed potatoes are fun.
Lavender.
Everybody's had garlic mash, right?
Right.
I mean, I do garlic mash. Everybody does garlic mash. He did horseradish mash, which
Wow.
I'd never had before, and it was killer. I really liked it. If I were not meathead, I would be potato head.
Well, I mean, from a presentation standpoint here, it's on that piece of wood. You got those two monster pork shanks,
nice?
the potatoes. The instant chat room is just going berserk, saying that they want it. That looks awesome. And by the way, I mean, while he said he went to culinary school for 4 years, I think we're getting a whole new appreciation for Deuce Raymond today from a week ago, and seeing what he's actually creating. Very impressive.
Yeah, very. He's speaking of how he does this live broadcast. There's a chat room, and they like what they see.
Well, here, let's take a piece off here.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
Look at that. Oh, it's not fair. Look at the color in that. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, just stick some right up to Meathead's phone and let me eat it. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. I think the lesson here is we've got a real chef, not just a barbecue cook.
Right.
And so he's taking the skills and the techniques that a barbecue cook has learned, and he's applying it to all manner of cooking, plus the skills that a culinary trained chef learns. And so he's doing fun things with the root vegetables. I'm just looking around where dinner's over and people are going home, and I'm just looking for. Oh, hey, look at these turkey pieces over here.
This is that smoked pepper crusted turkey.
Here's a smoked pepper crusted turkey. He's kind of treated it like pastrami. Now, a lot of barbecue joints do serve turkey, so this is not too off the hook. But he does it really nicely and really effectively.
How long has that turkey been sitting out?
How long has it been sitting out?
This has been about 45 minutes.
I mean,
Everyone went through the buffet. They were eating. They had to listen to Meathead for like 30 minutes.
Oh, and they got cold while they were listening.
I mean, but it still looks incredibly juicy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Wow.
The guy knows how to cook. And you know what? All right, let's get philosophical. Deuce is one of a kind. He's special, but he's not alone. The barbecue world, and I think, among your listeners, people in the chat room and elsewhere, there are some barbecue cooks who know how to cook more than barbecue.
Yeah.
And they're applying the techniques and the concepts, and they're going beyond. And I think if you go to some of the Deuce, you hear me talking. What are some of the barbecue joints that you know of where the cooks are like you, where they're experimenting, where they're creating, where they're going beyond your KCBS 4 meats?
The two guys that come to my mind that have chef backgrounds are Charlie McKenna from Lily's Cube.
Yeah, here in Chicago area.
Went to Johnson, Wales, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's a trained culinary chef. He worked at one of the finest fine dining restaurants in Chicago, True. And he's an excellent chef. He does some great things at his barbecue restaurant. His sides are phenomenal. He makes his own Chicago-style hot link that is excellent. And he does a really great job. And he competes at a very high level. I think he really only does Memphis in May. But out of the last 10 years, I think he told me he was top 10 in pork shoulder 8 of the last 10 years at Memphis in May, which is a very huge accomplishment.
He does well in pork shoulder every year.
The other guy that I think has a classical chef background is Tuffy Stone.
That's correct.
Oh,
that's correct.
Of course.
And Tuffy he does awesome on competition. I've never been to one of his restaurants or anything, but he is a trained chef. And he uses that to excel in his barbecues.
Yeah, I mean, Tuffy is, the ultimate.
Yep.
The ultimate.
One of the other guys that's a classically trained chef and that is considered to have one of the best restaurants in the Kansas City area, by the way, is Robert McGee, formerly of Munchin' Hogs at the Hilton, the former KCBS Team of the Year, but now he owns Q39 in Kansas City, which is widely considered to be one of the best restaurants in Kansas City. But that's another culinary trained real chef who's doing the barbecue thing and doing it very well.
What's his name again?
Robert McGee.
Robert McGee in Kansas City?
Q39 is his restaurant.
I've just heard of him because
Q39.
of the show.
Oh, wait a minute. I've heard of Q39.
Yeah.
Just because of the show, I've heard of it.
Yeah, because of your... Deuce listens, too. I got to alert you, by the way. I just got the low battery alert. I risked my battery because I taped Deuce doing all his demos instead of saving my battery for you.
Oh, well, I don't know whether to be
you can
humbled
kick my
or
butt
what.
Too.
Yeah, all right. So is that's it for us?
Goodbye. I'm going to have to take care of
all right, Deuce got to go.
All right.
Bye, Greg.
There is a chance that you're going to lose me if my battery dies. And then you're on your own, pal. Sorry.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break here real quick. I got to do a little bit of a bill pay, and then we'll see if we have Meathead on the backside of this. He is at the Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant in, I believe you said Wooddale. So stick around and see if Meathead is going to be with us after the break. I'm going to talk to you quickly about the Chops Power Injector System, the National Barbecue Association's 2015, 2016, 2017, probably 2018 Tool of the Year. Each of their patent-pending CHOPS power injector systems features not one, not two, but 4 needles evenly spaced at the perfect distance for even injecting. It also comes with 3 plug screws, so you can use fewer needles or change the spacing to get around those bones. It's versatility. You have 3 different sizes to choose from: the half-gallon CHOPS power injector system and the 1-gallon CHOPS power injector system. Each one comes with a whole bunch of really cool stuff. The half-gallon is $100, plus you pay the shipping. The 1-gallon is $120, plus you pay the shipping. Then you have the newest one to the fold, the CHOPS full power injector system. It's electric. It's the commercial and competition Big Daddy. Not a holding tank this time like the other two, but a 3.5-foot pickup tube that you can put in any size container. From a few ounces to a 55-gallon drum, it was designed for Chef Rob at the best barbecue restaurant in Kansas City. He has said time and time again that with the CHOPS full power injector system, his briskets are better than ever. We were just talking about Chef Rob, by the way. It comes with metal needle adapters, a whole bunch of different gauge needles. It's $325 plus shipping anywhere. A number of the top pitmasters in the world use the CHOPS power injector system to make their barbecue better than the rest because you can get flavor in every bite and you can do it quickly. It's not just for meat. How about alcohol-infused watermelon? Sure, why not? Every injector hand-assembled right there in Kansas City, Missouri, USA. You want extra accessories? They got them. You want to shoot medium ground spices? They can help you with that. Best thing to do is visit the website, barbecuekansascity.com. That's BARBEQUE, barbecuekansascity.com. And check out the CHOPS power injector system from there. You will wonder how you ever injected with 1 needle after you try the CHOPS power injector system just 1 time. The time it will save you is incredible. All right, Meathead coming back. I see him on my Skype still, so we'll see how much time we have with Meathead on the way back. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Ready to get on the air? Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Green Mountain Grills, manufacturers of some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. If you're looking for a big cooker to house a lot of food, they got one for you. How about something medium-sized? No problem. Got you covered. Small for tailgates. We are in the midst of tailgate season. They can certainly do that as well. Plus pellets to fire those cookers. Check them out at greenmountaingrills.com. I love my Green Mountain Grills. You can love yours as well. Plus, I really love the pizza insert. It's so awesome. Ooh, so good. All right. We are back with Meathead Goldwyn, who was in the Sweet Baby Ray's confines. And is it Wooddale, Illinois, Meathead? Wooddale?
Yes.
All
And
right.
ask me how much I love you.
How much do you love me, Meathead?
I love you so much that
Yeah.
I missed the dessert tray.
Oh.
I did not
Look at
get
you.
any of the pumpkin roll. I did not get any of the desserts. I just got screwed.
Meathead.
Oh, well.
You know,
But I'm
I don't.
having fun.
I wanna-
it was a great crowd, and everything was beautiful. And I did get dinner.
Well, dinner's the most. I mean, I saw those pork shanks. That had to be better than any dessert.
That was spectacular.
Yeah.
And here we got some of the folks who were hanging out late.
Yeah, look at that. I'm sure they look
Hey,
very
there's-
happy.
So look at this guy, Phil, who's a KCBS judge.
Yeah.
And now most people have on their iPads pictures of their family. Phil, show us what your family looks like, Phil. Show us your wife. Show us your kids. There we are.
Yeah,
Phil's iPad has nothing but meat on it.
That's right. That's a true judge right there.
Phil, how many KCBS events have you judged? 99.
99.
He's coming up on the century mark.
So, is he a certified, or is he a master judge?
Are you a master judge, Phil? Oh yeah, like that was just dumb question. There, he says out of 4,000 plus judges, there's like a few hundred that 20 or whatever 20,000 judges. I just got the low battery alert, Greg. You might lose me.
All right. That's all
You're
right.
gonna lose me any minute now, Greg.
Meathead, before.
Scott, it's Scott, right? Yeah, this is Scott. He's another KCBS judge. How many have you done, Judge? Scott, 90.
Wow.
So you're way
These guys
behind.
are these guys are
Here come the
professionals.
desserts.
All right.
Oh, look, she made me a little dessert platter. There's one
To
of those
go.
puff
That's very
pastries.
nice. Meathead,
Nice.
let me get your
I'm gonna move it away before Scott takes it.
let me get your opinion on this before we lose you, and we'll probably lose you right in the middle of it.
Well, I'll stick around until the battery dies.
Yeah. The last couple weeks, we have talked a lot about this phenomena of pork belly burnt ends. Much so that Ray Lampe and another guy on Twitter had a little bit of a internet dust-up, if you will, because there was a school of thought, this is Ray's school of thought, that the term burnt ends specifically relates to brisket. And the product burnt ends is something that comes off brisket, which we obviously know. But now you have pork belly burnt ends, and Ray's stance is you can't call it a burnt end because it's not coming off of a brisket. This is coming off of pork. It is not brisket. So we don't want to bastardize or homogenize terms in the barbecue world. We want to make sure that that is incredibly loud in the background. Meathead, go stand in the refrigerator so I can hear.
I'm losing you, Greg.
Yeah.
Wave at me when you want me to jump in on the burn end subject.
Yeah, so can we call pork belly burnt ends, or does it have to be brisket in order to be burnt ends, and should we call it something else?
Well, I mean, I will always defer to Ray Lampe. Ray Lampe is both right and wrong. But, one second. What's that, Phil?
When you're done.
I'm going to be a few minutes.
Okay.
He's both right and he's wrong. I mean, but on the other hand, what they call burn ends in competition now is they peel the point off the brisket and then cube it and make burn ends out of it. Now, originally the burn ends were the edges of the brisket that overcooked, and that would normally be the end of the flat, not the point. And it would overcook, and they would cut those off and chop those up. So, what we call burn ends from brisket now is a little bit removed from the original concept. So what's wrong with calling pork burn ends? I think the burn end cooking concept has evolved, let's say. And I don't see anything wrong with the pork belly burnt end idea today, but it is technically wrong to call them burn ends.
Kind of like chicken fajita?
Okay, there you go. And, by the way, I have a really nice short video on how to make pork belly burn ends with a recipe for making pork belly burn end banh mi sandwiches on the website because they make incredible banh mi sandwiches.
What's a banh mi?
Banh mi is, Vietnamese sandwich. Vietnam, as you probably recall, especially if you watch the PBS broadcast on Vietnam, banh mi, Vietnam was occupied by the French, and it means essentially bread, but the French taught the Vietnamese how to make baguettes. And so they made baguettes with crispy chunks of pork and beef and chicken, and usually pickles. They made pickled daikons and pickled watermelon rind and stuff. And you can find it in a lot of metropolitan areas. Banh mi, B-A-N-H, M-I sandwiches. Mm-hmm. And they're wonderful. It's sort of a submarine sandwich on a long roll with pickles, quick pickles, onions, daikons, and cubes of meat, and pork belly burn ends are phenomenal banh mi sandwiches. And I got the recipe on the website.
All right, so you would go to AmazingRibs.com for that.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, you were talking. I forget where we diverged off of that, but I was saying when you do these impromptu talks, you talk about thermometers, but are there like a standard run of questions that you get from the audience that you're constantly answering?
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's a great question, Greg, because I always start with thermometers. I always try to teach people cooking is all about temperature control. And if you can't control your temperature, if you don't know what the temperature of your oven is or your grill or your smoker, if you know what temperature the meat is, you're not cooking. And so those grills, I mean, even the best Weber grills, those dial thermometers in the top are just not reliable. you can't tell what the temperature is up in the dome unless you plan to eat the dome. You need to know what the temperature is down by the meat on the surface. And so I preach thermometers. And one of these days I'll start preaching scales so that we start weighing things instead of measuring them by volume. But that's like my favorite mantra, because there's nothing that will improve a cook faster than starting to use a thermometer. Beyond that, I teach two-zone cooking. Most people don't have smokers. Most people have grills. And I teach them, set up your grill with a hot zone and a non-hot zone. Push all the charcoal to one side. Or if you're on a gasser, turn on one burner and turn off the others. And, I got the radio out of the way. I moved into another room. So, it's such an amazing idea. I just got some communications from South Africa where they love barbecue almost as much as this country. But in South Africa, they just spread the coals all across the bottom. Everything is coals underneath. The idea of setting up a two-zone, a hot zone and a non-hot zone, is completely foreign to them. So, that's a really important concept. And it's very foreign to most Americans. They just don't think that you need to have temperature control by having a hot zone and a non-hot zone, or that you should cook indirect and then cook direct, that you can, different kinds of heat, radiant heat versus convection heat. So those are topics that I really try to teach. They're basic core concepts. Once I teach that, then the lights go on.
Do you think, Meathead, that charcoal grills, it almost sounds weird for me to say out loud that they're becoming more popular, or they're re-emerging as more popular than they were, 10 or 15 years ago? It seemed like it was just all gas grill all the time. And now, for instance, if you're in your Pitmasters Club, gas grills almost seem to be poo-pooed on to a certain degree, more for a lack of flavor aspect, things of this nature. Is there room? Well, do you see a reemergence of the popularity of the charcoal grill? Is it something that I just think is getting more popular again, and it's not really? And what do you still think about gas grill?
I don't know the direct answer to that, but hold on one second. Yeah. I'm live on the air right now.
These mother effers are interrupting. Don't they know who I am, Meathead?
They want to buy a book for Christ's sake. I'm trying to make a living here.
I'm doing a show trying to make a living. Are you kidding me?
They don't get it. I think there may be some truth to that. Max will know better than I, and you have Max on once a month. He reads the statistics from the Hearth Patio Barbecue Association and the others, and they'll tell you whether that's true or not. It seems like it may be.
Oh, well, all right. There you go. Meathead's out.
Get that big stuff out of here.
It was really only a matter of time. I can't believe that we had him on almost all the way through that segment. So let's review exactly what happened for a segment and 2/3, I would say. First of all, there's probably at least half of you that are like, thank God he got dumped. I'll admit, there were portions of that were, fairly brutal, perhaps is the right term. But again, I'm trying to continually push the envelope of where the show is, and believe it or not, Meathead's a very popular guest every month, and I get a lot of email overnight and over the next week or so every time he comes on. And he said, I don't want to not do the show. I'm going to be live at some place. Maybe we can figure it out. And again, I said, if you're going to have your iPhone, use those earphones. They have a pretty decent microphone built into them that'll at least prevent any type of feedback. But then, of course, when you're interviewing, that sucks because you have the microphone here, and if he's standing, even 3 or 4 feet away, as you could tell when he was talking to Deuce, it doesn't make for the greatest interview mic. So that's another reason, as John Solberg said earlier in Meathead's segment, just because you can do Facebook Live doesn't mean you should do Facebook Live, which I have been a live proponent of, by the way. And that's why I don't want to just go live on my phone. Like, I could go live on my phone 15 times a day if I wanted to, but it's going to sound like crap. And I don't want to sound bad. There has to be things that are being developed right now that I'll be able to plug into an earphone hole and have a super quality sound, or at least a nice sound. But he was in the back of a kitchen, and we got to see what they were eating. And, 50% of it was good, 50% of it was a loser. What are you going to do when you have never really tried it out? And we try things out on the show. And as I've said before, who knew the embedded correspondence segment was going to be such a hit? I had no idea. It's been such a hit. We've had to move it to a longer segment. It's still not long enough. So Meathead doing his best to help the show and not miss a date, which I certainly appreciate because he would have given me zero heads up that he was ditching for tonight, but, whatever. So thank you to Meathead Goldwyn from AmazingRibs.com for efforting the almost whole 2 segments. Then his battery died. I don't know what he's going to do for the rest of the evening. How is he going to check Facebook, Twitter, and Google+? Can't do it now. Yeah, that's a good question, too. By the way, Matt Boer is going to be on later this month as well. Is it next week, Matt? And Matt has a lot of beer knowledge. A lot of people like beer. So if you have specific questions for Matt, send them in to me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. And we will ask Matt his expert opinion or get his expert take on certain things that are happening in the beer world. All right. We will get ready to wrap the first hour when we get back. I will talk to you quickly about the Pit Barrel Cooker. Folks, the Pit Barrel Cooker is one of the easiest decisions to make. If you're looking at buying a new cooker and you want to have something that is economical, I think for $299 shipped to your door, put together, ready to cook on, I don't know how many other cookers are like that in that price range. The capacity on this cooker is kind of second to none, pretty much. The hook and hang method is unique. Placing the food in the center of the heat. So we all know what a rotisserie is, right? This is a version of, let's call it a stationary rotisserie. The result, great tasting, perfectly cooked meat each and every time. The thing that you have to get over immediately when we talk about the Pit Barrel Cooker, once you get one, once you get those ribs on those hooks, you hook them on the rebar and you close the top, you're immediately starting to worry because you're like, oh, the tip that's opposite side the hook is too close to the coals. It's going to burn. I'm very nervous. Don't worry. However, the thermodynamics within that thing combine, combust, fire up, keep heat, all that stuff, I don't know how that happens. But the meat that is literally inches away from the coal does not get overcooked. In fact, it's cooked just as good as the side by the hook. Plus, 8 racks of ribs that you can do in that thing. You can hook turkeys, you can hook multiple chickens. If you don't like to hook, you can put in the grill grate. It's got hinged grill grates, so you can reload the fuel if you need to. They recommend the charcoal briquettes. However, I have used lump charcoal without any issue. And then you just do one simple vent adjustment right when you get it. Lock it in there, and that's it. Assemble, close the top, you're ready to go. There's a bunch of cool accessories that come with the Pit Barrel Cooker. For instance, they have their own rubs. They have their own stainless steel rub shakers that are really nice. Easy to refill. Very nice, even spread when you're shaking the rubs out of them. And you can put any rub you want in them. If you have a whole bunch of different kind of rubs, you can dump the Pit Barrel rubs out. You can use a different rub that you can refill as needed with the Pit Barrel stuff. Whatever you like, doesn't matter. They have beer koozies or drink koozies. They have a coffee mug that is shaped like a little pit barrel, even with the little vent opening at the bottom. It's very cute. Plus a whole bunch of other items that complete the Pit Barrel cooking experience. Here's what you do. Head on over to pitbarrelcooker.com. That's PITBARREL cooker.com. Pitbarrelcooker.com. See what everybody's talking about. Call them with questions, 502-228-1222, and they will talk to you. That's right, customer service at its finest, pitbarrelcooker.com. All right, we're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. 216-220-0966 is the number to call. If you want to get in touch with me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com is the place to go. I think somebody said horse meat burn ends. We're getting closer to that. I think that might have been Kinger. You might not want to hear it, but here in the States, yeah, that's who it is. Oh, horse meat burn ends. Jason King, you are the YouTube maven, my friend. And horse meat is legal in Canada. You produce barbecue burn ends. I'll give you the whole first hour. We'll talk about the whole thing. We'll run the video. We'll go over technique. Hell, we could stream it live. You could stream it live to YouTube. I could somehow break into your signal or tap into your phone at the same time. Broadcast it on my Facebook page. We would shake the North American continent to its very core. Horse meat burn ends. Is that illegal for me to do? Because it's illegal here. Can I show it happening? Is that like a snuff film? I want to do that. But I will give you a whole hour. Not only that, I will give you the whole first hour of a show coming up, King. If you make horse meat burn ends legitimate. I want to see the horse. I want to see it butchered down. I want to see you take that roast or horse brisket or whatever the hell it is. Let's do this. Horse meat burn ends, King. You said it. You said it. Now let's make it happen. Let's blow up the internet. You know you want to do it, Kinger. You know you want to do it. Setting the barbecue and grilling world on fire. I got a lot of things to talk about. Got this email from Josh Poston. Greg, you do a great job on the show. I really appreciate the efforts in providing a show for backyard cooks as well as competition pitmaster. Do you have a show in the archives that talks about organizing a barbecue cook-off for fundraising purposes only? Question I have: who typically provides meat? What are the requirements for health standards? How does the prize money get dispersed? Is it even possible to raise money with a barbecue contest? Thanks for your help, and I look forward to your next podcast. Josh Poston. Josh, shout out. I believe the answer is no. We haven't specifically done a segment on the show that talks about doing barbecue competitions for the sole purpose of fundraising. But that is something that we should look into. I believe a good portion of barbecue competitions are trying to benefit a charity of some sort. So if you know somebody that is doing a barbecue competition, chances are they are tied into some kind of a charity. Typically, that's modus operandi for all barbecue competitions, or most of them, I guess. But we'll put something together. I'll have some of the great organizers of the day on, and we'll talk about how you can go about raising money in the form of organizing a barbecue cook-off, a fundraiser, if you will. Josh, I appreciate you listening, pal, and writing into the show. So look for that in a segment coming up soon, I guess, right? All right, we're going to step away, reload for the second hour, and when we come back, we'll have Matt from Meat Church. We'll have Scott from Qing, Stewing, and Brewing. It's all sorts of fun left to go here in the second hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. Be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine. How's mom?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate Tootsie or Wiener. Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seed.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour, and welcome aboard to the Barbecue Central Show. If you're getting us on podcast, of course, you know what you're listening to. But if you're just tuning in live this evening, this is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling. And I appreciate you joining me here for the last 60 minutes. If you missed the first 60 minutes, what are you doing? Watching the Cavs game or something like that? I mean, who knows? You can get it on podcast. Go to iTunes, subscribe that way. Go to Google Music or Google Play Music or whatever the hell they call it. Subscribe that way. Just search BBQ Central Show. Easy to do. Or other podcast aggregators. Please take the time. Make the effort. Never miss a second. Still to come on the show, Matt Pittman from Meat Church, Scott Smith from Q and Stewin and Brewin, Rennie Knopf right here talking about doing an ID that was somehow not played at the top of the hour. Oh, timers are great until they don't work. The National Pro BBQ Tour presented by Sam's Club represented or wrapped up fully this past weekend. Taking the overall national grand championship was somebody we'll be talking to at 10:35 tonight. Q and Stewin and Brewin. Your national 2017 National Pro BBQ Tour presented by Sam's Club champion. Q and Stewin and Brewin. Congratulations. Reserve grand champion. Rocky Top Barbecue. There's an interesting, before I get to the rest of the top 10, there's an interesting tidbit that I will talk to Scott about in about 30 minutes from now. I don't want to give it away here, but it is something that if you aren't looking, you don't realize how many just like this competition happened over the course of not only this weekend, but weekends past this year. It seems like more than ever, but we'll talk about that with Scott a little bit later on in the show. Third place overall, Q-Bones BBQ with a 701.6. Rocky Top with 702.83. Fourth place, Clark Crew Barbecue, Travis Clark and the team out there with a 700.5. Victory Lane Barbecue with a 699.9. By the way, and I will mention this when we talk to Scott as well, Victory Lane Barbecue had not one, but two 180s, chicken and ribs, I believe. So congratulations going out to the folks over at Victory Lane. Sixth place overall, Good Smoke Barbecue. Seventh place overall, IBQing at the BBQSuperstore.com. Eighth place, Darren Worth and Sherry Worth, Iowa Smoky D's. Ninth place, the Smoke Hunters. And 10th place was my guest last week, Justin and Kate McGlone, Lucky's Q. It was 702.84, I believe, won it. And your spread was 7 points from 1 to 10. Maybe not even 7 points, or maybe just a little bit more than 7 points. But, you know, there's been some Sam's Club series over the local and regional events where you had a 7-point spread just between 1 and 2, and then you were well into the double digits just between 1 and 6. But this is what happens when the cream rises to the top and you have 50 of the really good cooking Sam's Club teams show up in Bentonville and test their mettle. And 1 through 10, I guess it was like 6.5 points overall, splitting between 1 and 10. So really cool. Very close. 5 and 6 was 0.6 of a point. 6 and 7 was 100th of a point. Probably less than that. Very, very close. Another 6/10 between 8 and 9. 2 points between 9 and 10. Big blowout there. But wow. So that's it for Sam's Club for the rest of the year. Again, I believe it is guaranteed to be back next year, but we'll see what happens going on starting in 2019. So stay tuned for that. But next year should be back, and appreciate them sponsoring the show for the duration of the Sam's or the National Pro BBQ Tour series this year. Here's something new. If you're looking to get into competition barbecue and you don't want to go anywhere and you have some time on your hands, might I suggest the Green Mountain Grill's Barbecue Grill-Off first annual competition. The Barbecue Grill-Off participants will be competing in 4 categories. I bet you can guess. Ribs, pork, poultry, and beef. A grand champion and a reserve grand champion will be awarded, along with individual category winners and a People's Choice Awards. Contest is running in U.S. and Canada. Here are the rules for entry submission. And we'll probably get Jason Baker or Andy Allen on here over the next couple weeks just to hype it up a little bit more. Entries must be submitted using the Facebooks, Instagram, the Twitter, through your personal account. All entries must include 2 photos, one of the final plated presentation and one showing the interior of the meat, which will allow the judges to see the execution. Ribs cannot be submitted for either beef or pork categories. All entries must include the hashtag GMG BBQ Grill Off and the category hashtag GMG Ribs, GMG Pork, GMG Poultry, GMG Beef. Second, tag Green Mountain Grills account in the post, Facebook and Instagrams at Green Mountain Grills, on the Twitter at GMG Grills. And then you have to name the dish with a brief description. And remember, if you're on some of those social medias, you only have 140 characters unless you were so lucky to get anointed with double 280. But most of us are living in the 140 world. So you have to give a brief description, something like St. Louis style ribs seasoned with butcher barbecue or BPS rub, cooked hickory smoke 3 hours. Something to get a point across. Okay. Here's an example. Hashtag GMG BBQ Grill Off, hashtag GMG Pork at Green Mountain Grills. BBQ pork sandwich, season it with my special pork rub marinated in apple juice overnight, slow cooked for 8 hours. There's your example. Here's the calendar of events. And this started, what's the day's date? The 10th, I think. Yeah? No. Oh, cripes. Today is the 10th, 11th, 18th. Right. Yesterday was the 9th. Ribs started October 9th. Ribs will run October 9th through the 29th. So you have 20 days right now to cook your pork ribs. Then October 30th, which is the next day, October 30th through November 19th, you have to cook your pork entry. November 20th through December 10th, you have your poultry entry. And then December 10th through the end of the year, which is December 31st, you have to do your beef entry. Those are your dates. October 9th through the 29th for ribs, 30th through November 19th for pork, November 20th through December 10th, poultry, December 10th through December 31st, beef. There is a competition point system, which I'm not going to get into at the moment. There is judging. They brought top KCBS certified barbecue judges along with a guest judge. Big Mo Cason to score your entries. Judges will choose their top 15 entries for each category based on appearance and execution. After all judges have submitted their choices, the top 15 in each category will receive the points based on where they rank. The points will be tallied to determine the overall winner at the end of the contest. We'll also have an overall People's Choice winner based on number of likes, shares, and post engagements. And if you were wondering what the prizes are, first place You get a Daniel Boone model with Wi-Fi smart controller. Reserve Grand Champion gets the portable Davy Crockett with Wi-Fi smart controller. First place in each category, you get a whole bunch of really cool accoutrements. And the overall People's Champion, again, you get a whole bunch of like hats and mitts and all this other stuff. So, very exciting stuff, okay? It's very exciting. Matt Pittman is trying to call in. Matt, I'm gonna call you when we're ready here in just a couple minutes. So we'll get ready for that. So if you want to try your hand at a barbecue competition and take it slowly, go to greenmountaingrills.com/grill-off. I will have that in the show notes as well. Hey, for a whole month and a half, you could win a Daniel Boone grill. It's better than that. For free, I might add. Just because cooking, a lot of us could be cooking in the winter. That might add some extra points. I'm not saying that it will, but if you're cooking in a blizzard, Kinger cooks in the blizzard 7 months out of the year because he lives in Canada. He might get some extra treatment for that. You never know. All right, folks, let me talk to you quickly about the Barbecue Guru. If you're looking to turn up the heat on your barbecue skills this summer, you're going to need to get your hands on the most advanced ceramic cooker and high-tech barbecue accessory to hit the market. I am, of course, talking about the all-new Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition and CyberQ Cloud, just launched by the Guru. The world's first temperature-controlled ceramic smoker and grill with a built-in power draft fan. Going to give you the easiest, most successful barbecue experience currently available on the market. These must-have new products will make barbecuing easier than ever before, and you will be able to have this secret weapon for cooking delicious food each and every time. Plus, if you have a Barbecue Guru controller already, you don't need to get anything else. Hook it right up to the fan. You're off and running. Just that easy. This ceramic grill has the power draft fan built into it. You don't have to aftermarket or retrofit or put insulation in there or anything like that. Forget it. The Barbecue Guru is the place to go. bbqguru.com, the website. Call 800-288-GURU or visit the website bbqguru.com, as I just mentioned. If you have any questions, call them 800-288-GURU. Don't guess. Ask the experts. They will get you what you need. Please do that. And bam. If you have the Monolith Grill and you're using it right now, I would love your feedback. Hit me up with an email or call into the show or call me offline. Call into the hotline. Leave a message. I'll play it on the air. Would love to hear what you think about the Monolith. What's supposed to come with an incredible amount of accessories at no additional cost. bbqguru.com, 800-288-GURU. We're back with Matt Pittman from Meat Church right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
As I mentioned in the first hour, the 2017 grant program for Smithfield was a raging success this season. So if you want your event to be considered for next year of 2018, head over to smokinwithsmithfield.com right now and apply for the 2018 grant program. Applications being taken now till October 25th. Don't miss out. Smokinwithsmithfield.com, the grant program. A lot of people wanted to get into that this year, but not everybody could be taken expanded for 2018, so your chances are better. Last week, Dr. Barbecue weighed in on the social media phenomena that is known as pork belly burnt ends. And while I believe that he does think that they are delicious, he believes that the term burnt end should only be reserved for a dish that is produced from brisket, and that this pork belly burnt end is kind of a bastardization of the correct term. And a week or so ago, there was a little bit of a skirmish between Ray and my next guest, so wanted to grab the other side and see what he has to say about it. He is a first-timer to this show. He's incredibly popular on the social media and barbecue merch and product sales and cooking classes, kind of doing it all right now. So let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome the creator of Meat Church, based in Waxahachie, Texas, Matt Pittman joining me here on the show. Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. I can't believe I got Waxahachie, Texas right out the first time. Pretty impressive for a guy up north, right? No? Hello? You there, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. I lost you there just for 1 second. So, Matt, before we get into the burnt ends, pork belly burnt ends conversation, blah, 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 you have, at least from my perspective, a very interesting story, how I get visibility of you, and I'm wondering, in a thumbnail kind of a sketch, are you able to give me a backstory on Meat Church, and where does the love of live fire cooking come from? Is it just because you were born and raised in Texas kind of a thing, and you're just around it, and it's in the culture and in the blood, or how does that come about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty unique story, I guess. I was actually born in the South in Tennessee, raised a lot in Alabama, so I kind of grew up on pork. Moved to Texas when I was 13, so I claim Texas at this point. But I've always just been kind of the outdoor cook. I mean, my grandmother was a big Southern cook, had, these massive meals that stretched the whole table after church. And so I always had an interest in cooking. And I don't know, I just, when I got to Texas early on in life, I mean, probably high school, I started kind of being the guy that would cook. I'm kind of known to tailgate a lot. I've been going to Dallas Cowboys games for over 20 years, and I'm the cook out there. So I've just always kind of polarized to it and been that guy. So I didn't have anybody in my family training me or teaching me or anything like that. It's just kind of a fire that came from within. Plus, I got a name for it. It's kind of meant to be, I guess.
Does Meat Church get born out of the love of live fire cooking? Was it some other kind of a business and formed into live fire cooking? How does that all come about?
I mean, so it was an accident. I was competing in barbecue with some buddies, and at one point, it's a pretty well chronicled story by now. I decided to go out on my own because we were at a comp in Arlington, Texas, and one of my buddies is an electrician, and he reached in his pocket and pulled out a really used screwdriver and mixed up our sauce and said, "Try this." And at that moment, I thought, I might want to get a little more serious about this. But ironically, we actually won ribs that day. But at that moment, I peeled off on my own and went on. And so kind of had my brother helping me out. And pretty early on, got picked to be on the TV show Barbecue Pitmasters, I guess, because we had a pretty good following. And, took a couple of my rubs on there. Another pretty well-known story. I didn't have rubs or sell rubs or a website or anything like that, but I made a couple rubs, and I was buying a obscure ingredient that goes in one of my rubs at a place, and accidentally discovered he was a co-packer, didn't know what the heck a co-packer was. And 3 weeks later, I was in Tampa, Florida, shooting the show with my own rubs. And 4 months later, they released the show, and they showed mine. And 3.5 years later, here we are. Accidentally did pretty dang well out of it.
It's not everybody that shows up on Barbecue Pitmasters, I guess, that sees the kind of success. Do you just chalk it up to being right place, right time? I mean, obviously the products speak for themselves once you get them in your hands and you're trying them, but it's getting into those hands that's kind of crucial.
Yeah, I certainly work my butt off. I mean, I get up probably earlier than most and go to bed later than most. And so I always tell people there's no shortcut to it. So I've been fortunate that, we were seen, but you can't just be on there and become something. If I wouldn't have worked hard at it, it would have petered out. And by the end of the year, nobody would know who we are. In fact, a lot of people said, you can leverage being on that show for about a year. Anyway, so it was I think it just kind of validated us. But from there, it went from people trying it. And like you said, I think people like it, or it wouldn't be where it's at today. And then, I'm unique from everybody. We have a product, but I sell two things. I sell a seasoning and barbecue product, but then I kind of sell the personality and appearance and teaching and training and all that as well. So it's kind of complementary.
You have almost 139,000 Instagram followers, and that handle is at Meat Church. Tweeters around 11,000 or so, same handle at Meat Church. Social media is obviously very powerful, especially over the last handful of years. Did you realize right off the bat that social media was going to play a significant part in the growth of the brand?
Well, no. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I did. I was an early adopter of Instagram, but I did this festival 3 years ago, and I had 485 followers on Instagram. And Aaron Franklin was teaching a class, and I was right behind him. And I looked at my wife and I said, I wonder what this festival will mean to our social media. And I tracked it and put it in my phone, and I still have that note to this day. So it's kind of cool that, no person has ever logged into my Instagram other than me. I've never bought a follower, never had an agency look at it, and never got any advice from anybody. It's basically what I feel like cooking, and I kind of market to myself, and it clearly appears to resonate with the people, and I think has been a huge part of our success.
When did you start getting into the product side of things? Was it simply because you had this rub and you met this guy kind of by chance and realized you learned what a co-packer is now? He's going to be able to give you products. I guess the better question is, once you know you have a line of rubs, you also have shirts and you also have hats and all this stuff. Is this just another stream of the Meat Church brand that you knew you're going to have to pump out in order to kind of have this brand growth and be a barbecue force?
Well, when we launched the website, we had 3 rubs, 2 of which I took on the show, and another I developed before the show launched. And I sold 2 shirts and 2 hats. The set we wore on the show, and then I had a couple. I basically had all this stuff. Launched it, sold 6 things that day. But I've always been kind of a creative person in my mind. I think I'm a wannabe marketing guy at heart, and so I really enjoy coming up with new designs. So all the stuff you see with our shirts, our hats, the art on our labels, the names, that all comes from me. Again, no one's ever been hired to do any of that. I do have to pay people to illustrate it for me because I'm not creative enough to actually illustrate it, but they're all my ideas. And, you know, like I said, I kind of go after, I think I'm the target for most grilling and barbecue companies. Like, I'm who you want to sell to. So I just think what'll work for me, and I go with it. So this year I was talking with Chad Ward at Traeger Grills, said, you know, how do you think I can expand my line? And I'm not trying to be all things to all people. And he and I talked a lot about expanding my merch. And so that's one of the reasons I did it. So I've got some really cool stuff. I've got some kind of funny stuff, you know, just some kind of random barbecue shirts, and people seem to dig it. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I have some super cool stuff coming out for Christmas that comes out next month. So that'll be exciting.
Matt Pittman joining me here on the show from Meat Church. Matt, do you ever feel any pressure or perhaps just like internal urgency from yourself to add more stuff because the iron's hot right now? And, you know, I guess it goes for both you and the industry. I think from a backyard warrior sense, barbecue and grilling hasn't been any more popular than it is right now. You can realize that. You've seen your growth over the last handful of years. Do you feel like you have to strike while the iron is hot, or is that kind of begging too much from your customer base to just keep throwing shit out there and hoping that they buy it?
It's an interesting question, because I can tell you that right now in October, I'm actually stressed because I know what I have to get out for the holiday season. And the holiday season for us is when we blew up. So when we knew we had something, it was Thanksgiving Day. My wife and I were at a Cowboys game, and she looked at me and she said, "What did you do?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She had 54 orders. And that was kind of the day we really took off. And so Black Friday through Christmas is phenomenal for us. So, you know, I did release a new product on Thanksgiving last year. And so I kind of like to follow that model. So I feel like I have to do certain things. You know, I also follow the Apple model. I don't want too many SKUs. And so that's why I said I'm not trying to be all things to all people. But I do feel pressure while the brand is hot and things are going on. It's not that I have to have more and more and more, but I want to keep people's attention. We released the rub in July. Nothing going on other than the peak of July, and we sold $30,000 in one day, and I was blown away. So I've seen that, you know, bringing new creative things to the market has been very good for us. So I do feel pressure to continue to do that.
I assume Meat Church is a full-time job for you at this point?
It's not, and that shocks a lot of people.
Wow.
I mean, it is, but it's on top of a full-time. I'm a vice president of a financial services company, and we operate Meat Church on the side. But it is. But that's through, you know, the family business that we run, and I've got a lot of family members that are employees and work for us. So it certainly should be full time for me if it weren't for a good career in front of it.
Have you ever thought about divorcing one from the other and just being full time Meat Church guy and seeing if you could even grow it more, or no?
Yeah, it's very tempting, but my career is really good, and I have 4 kids too in college. So it's you know, it's a difficult proposition to walk away from. But the question I get more is why don't you have a restaurant? Because I do so many festivals and events, and got a food and wine festival coming up where I'll hear that all the time. And it's tempting, but then I think I've built the brand and revenue that those guys seek, and I don't have to be married to a restaurant. So obviously I'd love to work for myself at some point. Right now we're going to keep double dipping.
Oh man, I've seen your backyard. Screw the restaurant. I'll tell you that. Screw it. We were talking about social media a few minutes ago. A few weeks back, you and Dr. Barbecue had a little back and forth on this highly popular pork belly burnt ends subject. And, of course, Ray maintains the fact that perhaps while these are delicious, and I don't know if anybody would argue that, because they're not coming from a brisket, you can't use them in the term burnt ends because by the very definition, it's not a burnt end. One's pork, one's beef, and the real burnt ends come from beef. So give me your thought process on this. Does Ray have a valid point in any way? Is he way off base? Should there be some respect for barbecue definitions of the past? Should we be open to change? What's the Meat Church take?
So, yeah, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't think he's right and I'm wrong or vice versa, and I'll get to that in a second. But let me say first off, I am a purist. I'm a historian guy. I'm a very, when the way I teach barbecue, I tell people I'm wood, meat, fire. I'm old school, salt and pepper, Texas barbecue. So I'm the last guy that wants something crazy. In fact, when I was on Pitmasters, we were given a brisket flat, and I chose not to make burn ends because you can't make burn ends out of a flat, and the other two competitors made them. One did well, one got made fun of, frankly. So clear on that, just understand where they came from, Burn City, Arthur Bryant's. Here's my issue. So first off, Ray is a little controversial and can be known to be a bit of a jerk at times, and that's fine. He's earned his right to do that. Well, let's back up. So 2 weeks ago, I did pork belly burn ends on local news channel. Someone posted the video. Someone tagged Ray and said, hey, he wouldn't agree these are pork belly burn ends. And Ray chimed in and, gave his piece. And I said, well, hey, I feel like the Meat Church congregation's a big group. I've got a voice, and I think it's finally time to kind of step up against him and say, Ray doesn't get to make the rules. And what I mean by that is he doesn't get to decide what things are called going forward. I'm not calling it a burn end. I said there, I can see it both ways. In fact, that weekend I made a dish called pork belly with jalapeno relish. I didn't call it a burn end, but I explained to him, and he's yet to address this. I can see how you take a big piece of meat, you cook it, you cube it, season it, sauce it, put it back on the pit in the method of a burn end, kind of like a chicken fried steak, and you use chicken fried breading on something else like chicken fried bacon. I'm referring to it as a method. So I can understand why people would want to call it a pork belly burn end, and I have no issue with it. I personally have called it both. I've been cooking pork belly for years. My buddy Travis Heim here in Fort Worth makes a pork belly burn end that's extremely popular, probably landed him on the Texas Monthly Top 50 this year. I don't know his method and how he does it, but if you follow this method, I see nothing wrong with it. And in my issue with Ray on Twitter that day, he won't address it. He would retweet my tweets, and he would tweet out things like, or he would send pictures of coffee cups and say coffee burn ends or tofu burn ends. That's ridiculous. That's not what I'm talking about. Take the meat, follow the process, and I don't care if you call it that or not. But at the end of the day, the country's spoken. I think it's pretty obvious what they're called at this point. Just go to Google and type it in.
Is there a traceable history that you know of when pork belly burnt ends were introduced? Has someone been given or taken credit for the item?
Well, I'll tell you what I know. So Travis Heim and I, we used to have lunch and talk pork belly all the time. We both cooked it a lot. He opened a trailer and started selling bacon burn ends, and I'd never heard of it. I've since saw that someone might have been cooking it previous, but he's the first one I knew that was doing it around here, and it is extremely popular in Texas, particularly in Fort Worth. I mean, he is very, very, very well known for it. They're iconic, frankly, at this point. I don't know his method. I know my method and why I'm okay calling it a pork belly burn end because of how I'm doing it.
So, Justin, just to recap very quickly, it's more of a method versus anything else in your estimation.
Yeah, I mean, when you're cooking brisket burn ends, they come off the point, the fatty part, right? So the idea is you cook this brisket till it's done, then you take the fattest part, you cube it, you season it, sauce it, put it back in the pit to continue to render that fat out. Well, pork belly is even fattier than the point on a brisket, right? It's like the fattiest meat you could ever eat in your life. So, when I heard the term, I thought it kind of works and went with it. But now, like I said, you look on social media now and it's all over. So 2 weeks ago, I was on record saying, I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you go one way or the other. And then, now I think I'm going to stake my claim and say we're going with it.
So here's my opinion. You're a very creative guy. You have a lot of great ideas. You've proven out success in business here. Isn't there something cooler that we could call these things other than pork belly burn ends? For instance, swine cubes. What about swine cubes? Doesn't it have a good ring to it? Or my official Tennessee embedded correspondent, Steve Ray, the pitmaster of Owl's Nest Barbecue in Ooltewah, Tennessee, calls them pork belly buttons. Now we're talking. This is real creative stuff instead of just rehashing a burnt end, if you will, swine cubes. I mean, come on. You know you're going to be using that tomorrow. Hashtag swine cubes.
Well, honestly, I have to give Travis the credit. When I heard bacon burn in, that's where it resonated in my head the first time. So, I certainly give him credit for that. And like I said, I honestly feel like at this point, October 2017, I think the ship has sailed. I think they blew up so much this summer. And people that I develop recipes for, I said, hey, you might want to publish this because it's all over. And it's super easy to make. So I feel like it's really, the concrete is setting at this point.
Here's the last question on pork belly burnt ends. It is, as you said, it's a complete phenomenon. A lot of things in the barbecue world come out of left field just like this. They hit quick and boom, they're gone. Will we even be talking about pork belly burnt ends by the end of the year?
I think we will be, and I think there's a few reasons why. One, it's super popular. Two, it's uncured bacon, and the bacon craze hasn't gone anywhere. So, and it's cheap. That's the other thing. And I make it a couple different ways. It's something anybody can make. They're really good. I mean, you put a lot of barbecue out at a party, and people go to pick things up. These are things you can hit with a toothpick. They can act as an hors d'oeuvre. You can serve a few of them as a meal. You can put it on a sandwich. It's really versatile, and so I don't think it's going away.
What's your best recipe to share with people?
Well, so on meatchurch.com, I have the recipe, and I kind of say on there I do it both ways, which is either cook the pork belly whole until it's about 190, then cube it, season it, sauce it, put it back on the pit for about an hour. Obviously, you have to use my seasoning. The best pork belly burnt ends are made with Meat Church Honey Hog.
Of course.
Just me on that. And then you put them back on the pit for about an hour and a half. A lot of people now I see are cutting them in advance, so they're cubing the pork belly raw. That's fine. That's actually what the most recent recipe I put out shows to do. It's a little more difficult, in my opinion, to deal with because you've got these, 75 raw cubes all over the place. Unless you have a rack to put them on, it's kind of a mess. Both work.
We are talking with Matt Pittman. He is the creator of Meat Church. On the Twitter, he's at Meat Church. On Instagram, where the following is huge, he's at Meat Church. I really appreciate the time tonight, man. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll do it again sooner than later.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate you having me.
You got it. There he is. It's Matt Pittman from Meat Church. That's right. How about that? Love it.
All guests on the Barbecue Central show appear via the Smithfield Hotline. Yummy.
And I think while the pork belly burnt end in its culinary form might not be going anywhere, the conversation about is it a pork belly burnt end or isn't has now seen its end of time.
Get that big stuff out of here.
The conversation on pork belly burnt end has run its course, and that's going to be that. Until I get to the next segment and I ask Scott Smith about it. But then for sure, that's going to be it. I will stick to my guns and say, probably while you can't rename pork belly burnt ends at this point, swine cubes is way cooler. Give me instant reaction in the chat room. Swine cubes or pork belly burnt ends? Swine cubes is also shorter and easier to say. Swine cubes. Sounds like something you could stick in a drink or eat. Swine cubes. I'm going to start it. I'm going to take over the pork belly burnt ends with swine cubes. Hashtag swine cubes. Check it out. If you see it anywhere, screenshot it and send it to me so I can start legal processes. I have a lawyer on retainer. A fleet. Folks, Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies will get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Ball himself. From award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers, Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to become a better outdoor cook. Whether you're a backyard barbecue fanatic or a competition pro, Big Papa Smokers has something for you. Looking to improve the flavor of your competition barbecue recipes? How about the West Coast offense? Over the past few years, this recipe, darling, has cornered the market on competitive barbecue, begun to redefine the flavor profiles that competitive cooks from across the country have begun to aim for. Big Papa is also the proud owner of the award-winning Granny's barbecue sauce. Looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone? Granny's traditional yet powerful flavor remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. Find Granny's barbecue sauce and other top-rated barbecue sauces at BigPapaSmokers.com. And besides, all of the great rubs and sauces, they have great charcoal, pellet, and wood-fired grills as well. How about the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill, Big Papa Smokers? The exclusive Mac dealer even offers special packages. Not a fan of pellet cookers? No problem. Look at the Old Hickory Ace BP. It's the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition barbecue trailer. And if you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast looking for a durable, versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need. They're built like tanks. Not sure what kind of grill you need? You can't go wrong with the grills and smokers featured for the barbecue, BigPapaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cook. Check out their website today. Shop their full selection. Folks, it's clear that Big Papa's is the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product on their website, hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Boost your barbecue skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers, the #1 online barbecue store. Call them toll-free at 877-828-0727 or shop their website at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA Smokers.com. And we are back with Scott Smith from Q'in, Stewin' and Brewin' to recap the big win at the National Pro BBQ Tour this past weekend. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
Thanks again to Matt Pittman for coming on this past segment. A portion of this show is being brought to you by CookinPellets.com. Your #1 source for quality wood pellets. For all of your pellet-driven cookers, it's not going to void any warranties. Don't fall for that crap. If anybody tells you that, email Chris Becker. He will help you out. You can also buy these pellets at Amazon.com, but be careful from there because sometimes the shipping prices are incredibly high, especially if they're running low at Amazon. But just download the CookinPellets.com app and you'll be taken care of from there. Hey, this past weekend, the National Pro BBQ Tour held its national finals in Bentonville, Arkansas. The top 50 teams that went through a local and regional round prior to the national finals faced off to see who would reign supreme. And when the, bad pun, smoke cleared, a score of 702.84 was good enough for GC. Here to recap the weekend and the win. Pitmaster for Q'in, Stewin' and Brewin', Scott Smith, joining me here on the show. Scott, how are you, buddy?
Good, sir. How are you?
Absolutely fabulous. Appreciate you making time for the show this evening. Scott, before we get into the weekend's events, can you tell us your path or the QSB path to Bentonville, Arkansas?
Our path this year started in February in Daphne, Alabama, where we finished, I think, 7th or 8th. We did not qualify. But on the open sign-up, we signed up for Marietta, Georgia, which is here, basically my hometown. We GC'd that event to move on to the regionals in Bartlett, Tennessee, where we finished 6th.
And you got to move on, or you got to be top 10 to move on to the finals. So you end up in Bentonville. Have you made it to the finals before in previous years, Scott?
Yes, sir. I've been there 6 out of the 7 years to finals.
Wow. Okay. So almost every single year. When you head to Bentonville, when do you leave out of Georgia to load in?
We actually leave here on Wednesday because they want you to load in on Thursday. We have a Thursday night party and a banquet there, and we left on Wednesday and arrived there Thursday before noon.
Is that a fairly close barbecue competition for you, or do you usually like to stay within a certain radius of HQ?
Normally, I'll travel outside of my box usually 2 or 3 times a year. Bentonville's 13 hours for us, but it's worth the drive to go there every year.
Yeah, no doubt. I had Lucky's Q on last week in advance of this event, and Justin mentioned that the finals, I mean, I guess on the whole, the Sam's Club events, local or regional or final for this instance, typically tempered as far as partying goes, all this stuff. And he says once you get to the finals, it's usually more or less a ghost town when it comes to the nighttime activities. Did you find that to be the case this time around in Bentonville as well?
No. I mean, there's some cooks that are normally that way year round, no matter where they are. I actually went around Friday night, and I don't know, I was out till at least 11 and made a lap around the lot and stopped and actually saw probably 25 or 30 of the 50 teams there.
We're talking with Scott Smith from Queuing, Stewing, and Brewing. Anything happen over the course of the weekend once you commence to cooking, Scott, that you weren't planning for or that happens unexpectedly that you have to contend with?
No, it was just a pretty normal day. We pretty much done the same cook we would do anywhere we go.
From a results standpoint, chicken third place, but you hear third and it's a little misleading. It's a perfect 180 in chicken. Ribs 40th, pork 5th place, brisket 2nd place. Obviously, we can address the ribs here in a second, but overall, were you guys pretty happy with the turn-ins? And did you think that where you were slotted was fair, or the judges' award or take away?
No, I think the whole thing was fair. I mean, and I think that, though, of every event, I'm pretty easy going there. There's, when you're dealing with the taste buds of someone, it may or may not be pleasing to their palate. And week in, week out, there's going to be generally some tables that's better than others, generally some tables that may be a little worse than others. I think Sam's all across the board has been pretty fair that I've been to, and all of the national events have master judges. They have like 180 judges apply. They only bring in 50 master judges, which have judged over 30 events. And I pretty much think those guys probably know what they're doing. I mean, they've scored me everywhere from 40th to 1st over the last 6 years. So I've been there.
Scott, if we could, perfect 180 and chicken, 5th and pork, 2nd and brisket. Do we just chalk up to ribs to hitting a bad table, or did you have not a bad time with ribs, but did you think ribs were 40th?
I was unsure. I don't normally eat very much, if any, food when I cook. My ribs had an off color. I noticed only maybe 30 minutes into the cooker, they had a grayish look, I suppose, where they normally turn a little more red. And my son even noticed it. He said, "Dad, those look gray." And I said, "Yeah, they do. They'll come around." But as far as everything else goes, I thought it was very normal, but I just don't eat a lot when I rarely eat anything before it goes into the judging.
Is that just experience and running a consistent program for so long where you're just hitting the marks on that program and there's no need to taste? Or are you potentially doing yourself any type of a disservice by not catching something you might be able to tweak at the very end before you run it into the tent?
I think I can tell a lot just by the way the knife goes through most things. Chicken is it's a go-to category for USB. We've been in the top of chicken nationwide, I guess, for at least 4 years, and my chicken's very consistent. I don't normally I cooked 12 legs. I mean, 6 of them go in the box. I don't even normally touch a piece of chicken until at least 5 after. That way it gives my chicken the same time to set as it does theirs. But when you've got 12 legs laying there and it's turn-in time, there's not a whole lot of tweaking you can do. If I ate one and didn't like it, I'm still going to turn some chicken in that day. So I just figured I'd enjoy the call one at the end, which I normally do, but this weekend we did not.
How long have you been doing legs versus the more preferred thighs?
I've done legs since 2012, and we were team of the year with the legs in 2014.
I think there's only one other team that I can sit here and name off the top of my head that has turned in legs fairly recently. By the way, and I'm not meaning to kick this guy in the balls, they finished dead last in chicken, by the way. It's Sam's Club. That was Bob Trudnak over at the Barbecue Guru, who I believe he either won a Sam's Club regional or like reserve or something like that, and his secret in chicken was the legs, and I think that was the game plan going down this weekend. I don't know exactly what happened for him to finish last, but quite the dichotomy to have a perfect 180 legs and then a DAL in legs. Do you find that cooks are going more two legs, or do you still kind of stand out as an oddball of sorts?
No, I think legs has been around for quite a while, because if you go all the way back to 2010, 5 out of the last 6 years, team of the year has been legs. That's nationwide.
When you are called for grand champion, some of those initial emotions that wash over you and the team, what's going through your mind?
My son was with me. He's never been there. In fact, all 6 times I've been, there's been someone different with me all 6 times. And it was great to have him there for that moment. And I've never been drawn for the jack. Had grands every year and never been pulled. I've only cooked the Royal once. This is kind of the major event for us, and has been every time we've been. It is, it's our top barbecue contest. If I had a choice to go win one, I would pick Sam's over the other 3 majors every day.
Wow!
But there's I don't know. Hell, I cried. It was just that emotional for me and my son to be there and to have him there and enjoy that moment that he'll never forget, cherish for the rest of his life. It was pretty emotional, and it was totally unexpected, because I've been in comps before to where I've had a 180 and 2 top 5s and finished 12th or 13th. I'm that guy. I've DAL'd things and had categories that just go array for some odd reason, and had 3 or 4 solid calls and not or 3 solid calls and not make the top 10.
From a payday perspective, what is QSB's take for the weekend?
We were $57,750.
Wow, 57. And then did you say you took a grand in the regional too? So, like, what from all of your Sam's experiences this year, what's your total takeout?
A grand at a local. Probably in the neighborhood of 75.
Wow. So from a series standpoint, pretty big friggin' payout.
Oh, very. I mean, Sam's has been noted for 7 years for their payouts, and you get that 1099 at the end of the year. They've been very good to us for 7 years. We've been very fortunate. Last year, I won brisket there and finished 3rd or 4th, and that's still a big payday. When you win a $4,000 or $5,000 category and a $6,000-$7,000 3rd place, and then a $1,000 rib to go along with it. It's always a big payday with them.
It seems like a softball question for me to ask Scott, but I never know what the answer is going to be anymore after doing 10 years of the show. Does this win classify as the biggest win for the team to date, or is the first one did you ever got still the most special, or are they kind of like kids? Everyone's kind of special and different in their own way?
Well, any win is always special and great, but this is by far our greatest achievement and our biggest win. It casts a shadow on all of the other wins we've had. We've been very fortunate to win a lot of contests. This is by far the biggest.
Scott, Victory Lane Smoker grabs 2 perfect scores. Chicken, he was one of the, I think Chicken had 3 perfect scores. He also gets one in ribs, gets 5th overall. Seemed that a lot of the teams that finished in that top 5, top 6 did really well, except maybe 1, sometimes 2 categories. And I think that just kind of goes to show you that overall consistency is the key, and that even 2 perfect scores, and you kind of just alluded to it too a couple minutes ago, doesn't necessarily guarantee you the win or a reserve.
It does not. I have reserved and then 3rd, 4th, and 5th in a lot of contests that I've won 2 categories in. That doesn't guarantee you a win. Heath did have, he had an awesome chicken. He was 1 ahead of us. He was 2nd place 180, and he also had a 2nd place 180 in rib. And anytime you come out of the gate with 2 180s, I mean, that's 360 points on the board out of a possible 720. You've got a field advantage. And it really looked good for Heath at that point. And I think if you were sitting there amongst the other 50 teams, it looked big in their eyes, because I don't know that that's ever happened, especially at that level.
I have to tell you, Scott, as I review some of the scores from this event, but also take a look around some of the other KCBS competitions this weekend, also this year, lot of close finishes. Certainly this past weekend for you, no different. You and Rocky Top separated by 100th of a point, maybe a little less. Does it make it all the more sweet for you, or would you rather steamroll by 15 or 20 points if you could choose?
Well, everybody wants to steamroll if they can, but that's not how it always happens. I mean, there's always that moment. We had another moment very similar to this year in Rome, Georgia. We won 3 categories: at first place rib, first place chicken, first place brisket. And I think that's a pork down there into the 30s or 40s. You know, you think with 3 first place, it's an automatic, but it was less than a point.
Is this one the closest it's ever been for you to take grand championship?
No, I actually lost a grand to a coin toss. Donnie Bray and I with Warren County Pork Choppers both had 702.440 or something in Cookeville, Tennessee 2 years ago. And I think we were the first team to ever tie for grand. I actually lost a grand to a computer-generated coin toss.
How does that smack you?
You know what? If it was anybody other than Donnie, it makes it actually harder, but we had a great time with it. I think we had some cocktails that evening, and it gave us a story that we still talk about today, and so do several other teams. And anytime you put a 700 plus on the board, I think you've accomplished, whether you win, lose, or draw, you've accomplished. You've done the best you can do that day. To go to Sam's for the last 2 years in a row, my last year's score, I think, beat my this year's score. I had a 700 last year there. And just to do that 2 years in a row was just an accomplishment that I think about as a pick. And you know, when you're going against 50 of the best teams in the world, and you can post a 700 2 years in a row, that really speaks volumes for my confidence.
Scott Smith from Q and Stewin' and Brewin' here on the phone. Scott, where are you guys going to be competing at next?
We are in Lyons, Georgia this weekend. It's one of our Georgia events, only a couple hours from me. A little town down by Vidalia, Georgia, where the onions are, and we'll be there this weekend.
He is the reigning National Pro BBQ Tour through Bentonville, Arkansas this past weekend. It's Scott Smith from Q and Stewin' and Brewin'. Scott, congratulations again. Thanks so much for taking the time to do the show tonight.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thanks for having us on.
You got it. There he is. The pitmaster of Q and Stewin' and
All
Brewin'.
guests on the Barbecue Central show
Scott
appear
Smith.
via the Smithfield Hotline. Yummy.
That was not the closest barbecue competition that he has been a part of. Can you imagine? Right. Losing to Donnie Bray in the coin toss. A couple years ago, people were just losing to Donnie Bray, period. That might have been the year he won Team of the Year. Hey, folks, Cook Shack manufactures smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience. Whether you barbecue in the backyard, in the competition circuit, in a 5-star dining facility, Cook Shack has the unit that will do the job, and with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoke and grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com or follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice or share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by a champion, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. The FEC 100 and PG 1000 are always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can double as a smoker and grill. Low and slow, hot and fast, the pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Cook Shack residential electric smokers are the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality means high durability and versatility. Basically, anything you can cook in your oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698, or visit cookshack.com. All right, we're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. John Dawson weighing in on the email in regards to renaming pork belly burn ends. His submission, hog raisins. How about hog raisins? I like it. Not as good as swine cubes. That's all mine. All mine. Swine cubes. Again, Steve Ray from Ottawa, Tennessee says pork belly buttons. I think that's too long. That's like pork belly burnt ends, pork belly buttons. I say drop the pork belly reference altogether. Let's just assume we know what we're talking about. Swine cubes. Check it out. Swine cubes 2018. It's going to be my new hashtag t-shirt coming out next year. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Meathead Goldwyn. He was on location at the Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant in Wooddale, Illinois. It was kind of a live coverage event that I think we've determined was 50% good, 50% crap. From a coverage standpoint, not from a Meathead content standpoint. Then, in the second hour, we talked with Matt Pittman from Meat Church. We put to bed the pork belly burn ends discussion that he had with Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. Matt stated that he thinks, pork belly burn ends are going to be around for at least a while. The name is not going to change, and in the end, the conversation was really more about the method of cooking than anything else. His website is meatchurch.com. That'll be in the show notes as well. And then we closed the show with Scott Smith from Q and Stew and Brewing, talking about the big national victory at the National Pro BBQ Tour, presented by Sam's Club. He is your national champion this year, and winning it after going 6 of the 7 years. So congratulations to him. Got to share that moment with the son. Very good. Big show planned already next week. It's actually already filled up. Love it. Great content. It's going to be fun and exciting. I hope you're going to join me. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.